Hello, beauty-filled world. Shae Bryant here with you, and blessings for your Tuesday, February the 25th of 2020. Wow, we're at the end of this month. March is soon upon us, the equinox, spring, all of that lovely stuff. And I am here with you today, honored and grateful. This is episode 5 of the I Am Sovereign Shae, which is a social media show. And the intention of this is for us to explore and hopefully actually evolve our self-sovereignty, our spiritual sovereignty in a time, in a world that desperately needs us to do so. So like I said, I'm honored to be here. I am thrilled. This is all coming from myself, my own experience, the work that I have done full-time for 18 years with thousands of clients, just really conveying very succinctly the work, if you will. The work that is needed for spiritual healing, the work that's needed for physical healing, emotional healing, mental healing, and the work that is needed for the healing of this world. It can seem very overwhelming. It can seem daunting if you look out at the world, if you look at the work that is not being done, that still needs to be done. But remember that your point of power is always within yourself. The world around you, the world that you see, even the way that people are currently behaving and acting can and will be changed, be positively affected by the work that you are doing. We have no idea how powerful we are and how much we do affect the world. We think that we have to change others, we have to go out there, and this world is energetic. It's about frequency. And I assure you, you can sit all alone in a room and up-level, upgrade your inner frequency, and you are absolutely, positively affecting this planet. And I thank you for all of you that are doing the work, that are looking at themselves with compassion and with curiosity. And in last week's Tuesday and Thursday shows of this, I talked about that. I talked about sovereignty and also how you are treating yourself. So last week I mentioned the difference between a curiosity paradigm as you self-reflect versus a critiquing paradigm as you self-reflect. So you can check out episode 4 if you want to know more about that I mentioned, but we're going to build on that today. So in this episode today, I'm mainly going to focus on, how do I know in any moment if I am sovereign? Shae, you keep saying sovereign. What does that mean? And how do I know if I am or am not sovereign? And then number 2, if there is some state called sovereignty, well then how do I shift into that in any moment in my day? That's what we're going to talk about right now. So sovereignty, in my humble personal definition, is the exact same thing as being present, being conscious, being in the moment, actually being identified with your beingness instead of your thinkingness. If we are up in our thinking mind, which is actually a world of fantasy and imagination, right? We imagine our future, or we create this fantasy when we reflect back in the past. So quite literally, our thoughts, our thinking isn't actually present. In fact, it isn't actually reality. Our thoughts are our interpretations, our perceptions, our opinions about reality. This is a big deal. So actual, let's call it absolute reality, isn't what we're experiencing if we are in our thoughts thinking about what we see. If we're thinking about it, we're not actually communing with the actual event. We're not actually present. We actually disconnect from reality, quite literally, and we start interacting basically with a hallucination in our mind. We hallucinate about our own worth. We hallucinate about other people. We hallucinate about foreigners. We hallucinate about everything, man. If we believe it. And there's nothing wrong with having thoughts. There's nothing wrong with having an imagination. We need all these beautiful gifts. But right now, we are the slave to them, right? We have no skill set on how do we quiet this thing. How do I even get in the present moment? So this is the avenue of spirituality. This is what we're talking about when we say awakening. You ain't woke just because you have certain opinions. You're woke when you can distance yourself from your opinion. When you see that you are not your opinions. Now you might have them. I got plenty of them too. But the difference is that when you are identified with your opinion, you're going to feel defensiveness. You're going to feel offensiveness. You're going to feel like you're actually being attacked if your own opinion is attacked. And that's how you know that you slipped up and you are identified with your thinking. Okay, so by my definition of sovereignty, it means being present in the moment. It means not being taken over by your thoughts or your ego, which is just a lot of conditioning. It's what you've been trained to do. It's what your ancestors were trained to do, right? We've got a lot of momentum in going unconscious. Waking up, this is what we're doing. We're waking up to thought. We're waking up from thought. Most of us, myself included, are waking up from nightmare thoughts. How did I get anorexia? I believed a shit ton of nightmare thoughts and created a full-blown nightmarish experience. And I was trapped in this hell. That's the same thing that depression does, anxiety does, addiction does, right? Fill in the blank. It's all coming from the same mechanism. We're identifying with our mind and ego, and we can't even find the present moment. We can't find that peace that exists when our mind does go quiet and we can actually see what's around us. So you might perhaps, my God, most of us have to do years of practices to learn to be more present. Remember, this is a skill. You haven't been taught it. You have been literally trained by your ancestors and by your TV and by authority figures who are also unconscious to remain unconscious. This is revolutionary. You want to be an activist? You want to change the world? Do this shit. Try noticing your own thoughts. So if you can notice your thoughts, you have already claimed presence. Because if you can see your thoughts, then you're no longer identified completely with them. What we're wanting, what we're needing is space so that we can see, right? All right, that's my thought. Good news, I don't have to believe it. I could change it. I could upgrade it. I could challenge it. I could just actually relinquish all thoughts and not think for a while. These are all of our options if we have space. And that's why we need practices like meditation. What is the point of meditation? It is to build space. It is to pull all your attention out of your current obsession and addiction to your thoughts. Every human on the planet that is constantly thinking has an active addiction to their own thinking. Your thinking creates an emotional, physical response, right? Shoots your hormones, shoots your adrenal glands. And this is how we get actually physically addicted to our thinking. So this is what, again, anorexia was about. Yes, it was cultivated over months and years, but once it was full blown in me, I actually became addicted to those horrific feelings. And that makes it a lot harder to get out of it, right? We are spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, all of these bodies, and they're all mixed in together. So all of us have an addiction to our thinking if we currently don't have the presence and the space to pull out of it, right? This is the healing of the human mind that must occur. This is the awakening. This is the revolution. We currently live in a society where people are believing their nightmare thoughts, and therefore we have wars. Therefore we have people dying of poverty when it's unnecessary. We have enough food and money on this planet right this second for every single human to be fed and to be thriving. Why aren't we living that? Because we are not present. We are trapped in our ego and our conditioning and in our thoughts. So sovereignty is the ability, that little bit of space, to say, am I all ate up with my thinking, or is there a little bit of space here? So sovereignty isn't sovereignty over another. That's domination. That's violation. That's a lot easier than this. We're talking about sovereignty within yourself. Try that on. That is hard. That is mastery. That is how we heal, right? People are projecting their responsibility onto others all the time. You need to heal. You need to change. You need to stop war. Dude, can you stop it within yourself? Have you healed that war within yourself? So let's talk about that. So I'm saying, how do you tell if you're sovereign in any moment? Here's how I tell, is I feel. Now, I'm a highly sensitive person. A lot of you guys are. But we are feeling beings, right? We're in this physical body. We have emotions. We have feelings. If I am present, I am going to feel more peace. It's like an equal sign. Presence equals peace. If I am up in my thinking and my ego has overtaken me, then I am not sovereign, I am not present, and I'm going to feel probably some stuff. Anxiety. You feel that in your life? That means that you're up in your thinking. Anxiety is this beautiful mechanism that lets us know we have left reality. Anxiety is trying to tell you, warning, warning, you have left the building. Whoa, what? You've left what's actually happening. And now your thoughts, your conditioning, your ego, this is not about blame, like you've got some problem. This is a problem we've all got, okay? This is the healing. That's your assignment for you to do for all of us. So if I feel anxiety, if I feel depression, right? You can have two thoughts, just two. And oh my God, you're like in a mood again, right? Or you have one thought and suddenly there's anxiety. Like, I don't have enough money this month. Boom, anxiety. And I'm off into some fantasy, nightmare fantasy. Can't pay my rent, can't pay my bills. I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to die under a bridge, right? The way that the thoughts just snowball into some nightmare. Now, is any of that occurring in the moment? No. So true sovereignty in any moment is, am I present or not? How do I tell? Well, a lot of times you can tell by how you feel. Anxiety, depression, rage, all of these feelings that are basically completely overtaking you and you feel like you are often in a nightmare, that is that opportunity to make a sovereign shift. So the shift would be that space. Can I take a breath? Can I notice that these are just my thoughts? Can I look in this room that I'm in right now and notice this isn't happening to me actually? This isn't happening right now. It's happening up here. That is freedom. That is monumental. That's towards relief, isn't it? It's towards peace when you wake up from your thinking. Now your thinking will come right back and it'll say, yeah, but that could happen. Yeah, it could happen, but it's not right now. So one of my favorite ways to straighten myself is what's happening right now minus my thoughts about it. Taking a breath, really seeing what's around me, feeling into my body. Your body's always in the present moment. It can go nowhere else. It was waiting for you to come back taking that breath, noticing, whoa, I was feeling anxiety. What was I thinking? Can I release that? And can I come back to this moment? Now, this is the practice. Much easier said than done. For some people, it's definitely easier than others. And there's going to be certain subjects, I talked about this last week, certain subjects are harder than others. You might be able to let go of those thoughts and be like, all right, whoa. Let me return. Let me take a breath. Got it. Going on. And there's going to be other subjects, that trip you up. That there is no space. There is no freedom. I am trapped in this nightmare on this subject. And that, although somewhat of a bummer, is a true gift of your life. That is what you are awakening to. We are awakening into these deep ruts and conditionings that we have within us. We are awakening to those and healing those. I commend you for the work that you are doing. I completely understand the struggle, and I will continue to do these shows. Please reach out. Let me know if any of this is helping you, if I can also just give more assistance on anything specific that you need to know. Spiritual sovereignty can be available in any moment. In any moment, can I notice what's happening minus my thoughts? And can I remember that this is truly the most important thing I can do in any single moment? If I'm lost in my thinking and my ego and then I take action, it's going to be messed up action, right? I need to be present before action. I need to be present before speaking. I need to be present in order to heal. That's what we're talking about here. Love you guys. Love sharing all this. I have been doing this on Instagram as well, but I've been having some technology issues. So I'm just going to make it on Facebook only, and I'm going to change it to 9 a.m. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m., I'll be on here talking about spiritual sovereignty. Thank you, Megan. I'm so glad that you're on here and that you shared that. Thank you. Thank you for those words. And just to let everybody know, I have an awesome online course called The Sovereign Shift and .com. Check that out. And it starts April 1st. And it is a 7-week online course talking about the greatest spiritual awakening teachings that I personally have found. You are invited to that. Would love to have you. And if any of this is resonating, if you can feel those subjects where you're like, I can't find space, I can't find sovereignty on this, please reach out. Let's see if I can assist you with that. Because the healing that you want, the thriving that you want is possible. That is your birthright. That is your mission. And I'm so proud of you for staying the course. Sending immense love and appreciation for each of you. Enjoy your Tuesday.